Welcome to the Faith and Work Hour with your host Anthony Knight. I got a special host, co-host today. Name is Terosha Pugh. She's one of our members that does all our work for us in Georgia. She's the one that comes behind the scene. When every day when I come in here and tell you that the people that's behind the scene are some of the most important ones. Well, this is one of these individuals that do the work behind the scene. Makes me look good, but I'm not the one who's orchestrating it. Before we get there, we're going to do an inspirational quote. People that know they are important think about others. People that think they are important think about themselves. So just let that set for a minute and you can think about what that means. But right now, we're going to dive right into this. We got a lot of good articles we want to get into. A lot of them dealing with the community around Troy, Montgomery, and a lot of them's out of town, Michigan. And we definitely want to get into this weather because it's so unpredictable that, hey man, you can't predict the rain from the sun half the time. But what we're gonna start right now, we're gonna give Terosha a chance to talk about her role in the company that we have, the Let's Talk 3, what inspired her to become a member, and some of the things that we've done in Alabama and out of town. So we're gonna turn it over to you and let you talk about it a little bit.
Okay, so hi everybody. Again, my name is Terosha Pugh. I am actually from Brundage, Alabama. I was born here in Troy, Alabama. Um, I went to school in New Jersey, was raised up in New Jersey, but I also graduated from Pike County High School in Brundage, Alabama. So technically, that bulldog, I would like that to be on this side um, because I'm a bulldog. So, but
I was in
yeah,
Pike County first, so the Bulldog stays over here.
but my son also graduated as a bulldog,
I understand that.
but he graduated from Mount Zion as a Mount Zion bulldog instead of a Pike County bulldog. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, it ain't gonna change.
Well, maybe not, but yeah, I still think it should have been on that side since I'm the guest today. Anyway,
You from Troy though?
I am.
Charles Henderson.
But actually, I'm from Brundage.
You stayed in Troy, right?
No, I stayed in Brundage.
Still ain't getting the Bulldog.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, maybe I'll get it next time.
maybe.
But but yeah, Let's Talk 3 is something that I joined because I believe in everything that they stand for. Educational awareness. If I would have had someone to show me how to do education, it would have been a lot better. Instead of just going to school, they say, go to school, get an education. I did that. But I still work at a job that I don't have a career with. So I wish I would have had someone that could have guided me into that direction. Mental and physical health sustainability. Again, that's something that I hold near and dear to my heart. My mom, she recently passed away, some mental issues that she was having. And I wish I knew a whole lot more about it so I could have helped a lot more than I did. And then attainable living. I think everyone should be able to live a certain way. Not saying that you want to be rich or famous or anything like that, but I want to go inside the house and turn on the lights and have the lights come on and not be flickering. I want to have, some type of air conditioning unit where I don't have to be hot. I want to have a good furnace where I don't have to freeze. And I've been through all of those things. I have a son. I raised him as a single mother. And we went through those things. We went through where the government helped out a little bit. As long as I didn't have, as long as I was working part time, as long as I was making minimum wage, the government did help out a little bit. But as soon as I tried to do better, the government said, oh, you make a little bit too much. And there was nothing that was going to help me in between that time. So I like what our company does. We try to help the people that are in between that. Um, and that's just basically it. Like, I just love what our company stands for. I'm willing to help a lot more people. We recently in Georgia helped a young lady who was 8 months pregnant. She was from North Carolina. And I can share her story because I did ask her permission. I just won't tell any names. But she was from North Carolina. Again, 8 months pregnant. She caught a bus to Georgia to be with the father of her child. But that did not turn out right. He ended up not even wanting her there. So our company put her up for 2 days in a hotel and then also paid for her to get a bus ticket back home. So now she's safe. I hope she's safe. But she's out of that situation that she was in. I know during Christmas time, we fed about 5 or 6 families. We just put on an event on Saturday, the 17th, for the community. I wish we would have had a better turnout, but maybe next time everybody will come out. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, I'm just happy to be a part of the company.
All right, well, that's what we're about. Um, the whole thing is to help people. But the other thing I think of is um, we can't support everybody else, and then you don't support us.
Exactly.
So it's both. It works hand in hand because we need them as much as they need us.
Right.
And as a community, we have to do better than that because we're not going anywhere otherwise.
I think what people need to understand is that when you are running a nonprofit, we are not in it for the profit. Everything that we are doing is either coming out of our budget from the jobs that we have, or it's coming from the community. It's coming from investors. If we don't have the community support, we can't do any of the things. There's a lot of times where I may have wanted to help somebody, but I didn't have enough to help that person. But when you join forces with other people, you can make a lot of things happen. And that's what we need the community to know is that if you give $5, $10, that may not do a whole lot. But then when I give it, and then we get 600 or 700 more people to give it, now we can start making moves. We can start doing some actions. We can start making a difference. So we have to have the community support.
That is absolutely true. And like I say, without the community support, we don't move.
Right.
When we can't do the things that we stand on,
Right.
and we can't do we really can't do anything without the help of the community and the support of those. If it's financially, if it's giving your time, if it's just showing up for support, see things like that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
We got a few articles we want to get into today, and they're not always the stuff we read is not always good feelings, and they're not good heart stories. The first one is we get this happened in Montgomery actually, from the WSFA news channel. One dead, five injured in separate weekend Montgomery shootings. It says one person is dead and 5 people were injured after 4 separate shootings in Montgomery this weekend, according to the Montgomery police. According to the MPD, the first shooting happened around 4 p.m. Saturday in the areas of Fairground Road and Yarborough Street. Officers and fire medics responded to the scene and found a juvenile male victim with a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. An additional juvenile male victim at the scene also sustained non-life-threatening injuries from a gunshot wound. Both victims was taken to the local hospital for treatment. We talk about this all the time. This gun violence is getting out of hand.
I agree.
We and they just did a something in Montgomery about gun violence. It was last week, matter of fact, about the gentleman who raised attention to firearm awareness, and he talking about the gun violence in the neighborhood, and all this is in Montgomery. That also happened in Montgomery too. We just gotta do better than that.
Well, I think you also have to educate these kids too. A lot of times, the kids they think that having guns is fun, is cool, it makes them look tough and strong. But there's a lot of consequences. I know. I think you said it on another show where if you have a gun, you could be ruining 2 or more lives. You could be ruining your life because if you shoot someone and you kill them, your life is done. You're going to jail. You're ruining the person's life that you took, but you're also ruining the families, your family, because now they're grieving for you, they're worrying about you, and also the family of that person's life that you took. So it's more than just you. I think we need to educate our kids on, just gun violence, period, and how to stay away from it. And also, they need to learn how to talk.
Yeah. Well, that falls under educational awareness.
Mm-hmm.
That educational awareness was one of our three bricks. Does not also not necessarily mean school all the time. It
Right.
just means education, educating yourself, educating people around you of the surrounding situations, with whether it's gun violence, whether it's bullying. There's always something you can be educated on.
Right.
Well, the next shooting was that police responded to the 3300 block of Fountain Lane around 12:30 a.m. Sunday, and they found a juvenile male victim with life-threatening injuries from a gunshot wound. Said the victim was transported to a local hospital where he was later pronounced dead. And the one thing I'm finding similar in all of these is one word: juvenile.
Yeah.
Every one of these are young kids
Yep.
that are involved in these shootings, whether they did the shooting or whether they are the one who's got shot. But it's just to the point that, and now it's not all males. The fourth shooting happened on Sunday in the area of Mount Meigs Road, Boyd Street. MPD responded to a local hospital around 3:55 a.m. After getting a report of a person being shot. Officer found an adult female with non-life-threatening injuries from a gunshot wound. Listen to this. 12:30, 1 a.m., 3:55 a.m. All these are early in the morning, and then I kind of question at 12:30 a.m.
Yeah.
What is a juvenile
Why?
got any business being out at 12:30 a.m. in the first place?
Right.
And that's kind of.
But then you got to look
strange.
at it too. You got parents that are out there struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these jobs for, again, mothers, fathers, single parents, some of these jobs, they don't fit within that 9 to 5 schedule. Some of these jobs, you have to work overnight. Some people have to do what they need to do. And some people are saying, hey, I have these 16, 17-year-olds. I'm going to trust them, because they don't really know what their children do when they're outside of their sight.
Mm-hmm.
So you have these 16 to 17-year-olds that people assume can stay in the home and do what's right. And as soon as they get a little freedom because your parent has to go to work, that's when you want to go out and try to be grown.
Yeah.
But my biggest question is, where are they getting these firearms from?
Well, I can answer that one. From traveling over the road, you can go to the corner store and somebody give you this gun. They could be stolen. Incident happened up there in Dadeville when they found out these kids broke in the car and took the guns. They can be bought on the street. The pawn shops have gotten a lot stricter on selling guns now. You have to have they do a background check now, which I think everybody should do a background check. But to be honest with you, getting a gun is rather easy.
Yo, where are these kids getting this money from? I'm pretty sure nobody's just handing you a gun for free, because that's cutting into their profit. If they're selling it illegally, they're selling it. So you got to have some type of money to buy this stuff. And for these younger kids, where are they getting this money from?
Well, you've got the article not too long ago when these kids broke into a pawn shop and stole a bunch of guns.
Yeah.
They can stealing. Remember now, when these guns on the street, you're not paying wholesale price for them.
That's right.
You paying a discounted price.
Yeah.
So you can get a 9mm, 380, a Glock 9 or whatever they call them, assault rifle, $200 or less. So at this age, at this time and age, getting $200 is not that difficult if you really want something. If you want something like that, you'll find a way to get $200. The thing is, I'm going back to the time, and I understand that some parents have to work overnight.
Right.
But you should know. You would think you should know your kids. My mama worked from 3 to 11. I remember when she knew, but we stayed in the country, so I ain't have no car.
Okay.
Now they stay in the city limits where you can just move around at will. But when you're in the country, you ain't going nowhere but the cornfields. The nearest town is 15 miles, and you ain't walking. Ain't many people coming over there to come pick you up and then take you back home. 30-mile round trip when you barely got enough gas money. So A lot of it is the city limit. When you're in that city limit, you can move around way easier than in the country. See, my mama we stayed in the country. So if we wanted to go somewhere, it was going to be out of She Tuckers or you going to be on Patton Buck. And S&S was never one of my favorite things to do. And for everybody want to know what that, I mean shoes and socks. So it's not something I wanted to do. We getting more and more reports of younger kids, and these are not. See, the thing about it and how these reports are, it says juvenile. Anybody under 18 or 16 is a juvenile.
Under 18.
All right, so that can be from 18 to 10. I don't know. And when we was coming up, we thought a 10-year-old shooting somebody was just out of the realm of possibility. It couldn't happen. Well, they had a kid, 6 years old, 7 years old, shot a teacher. Okay, I had a few questions about that. How did you even know how to use the gun? You got it from home.
It's being taught. So
you had to be taught to use that gun because you're just not going to pick it up and automatically know what it is. Because see, I don't use guns. So I would have to study it for a few minutes to see how it works. This kid knew how to use it.
Well, they're being taught indirectly. So if I'm doing something, I was just with my, nieces and nephews, and I can tell you this, they pick up on stuff very quickly. So if I know how to use a gun and I can grab that gun up really quickly and maneuver it, they're paying attention to that. Every time I do it, they're watching it. So when they pick it up, they already know how. They pick up things very quickly. So sometimes they're learning it, not saying that the parent is teaching it to them, but they're learning it indirectly.
So the problem is some parents are teaching them how to use firearms.
This is a fact.
You see them teaching them how to hunt, but they doing it for sport.
Right.
That's different. Some of these parents are teaching them how to use a firearm.
That's true.
And I'm not saying there's a problem with that, but don't put it to a point where they can have access to it.
Yeah.
Because now you done showed them how to use it. So if they get mad with somebody at that age, first thing they're gonna do is go and grab it. And it's not like the TV show, The Cops and Robbers, because that's a lot of people that shoot these old westerns.
Okay.
And all that. So you want to make sure that if you do, you do it in a safe environment, and you put it the firearm, lock it up, or put it where they have no access to it, because if they don't have access to it, these incidents don't happen. That's just, now they might go and get it from somewhere else. Hey, they might. But at least you won't be accounted for it. It's your gun and this and that. So we got to, as an adult, you have to, number one, be more accountable for your action. Number two, don't make these guns accessible to your young kids. And number three, teach them that picking up a gun is not always the first option. It shouldn't be the first, second, or third option. No. You should be able to work it out beyond. We had an incident in Florida where 2 adults couldn't work it out. Well, the lady got shot through a door because of that.
Well, at the same time, like back in the day, kids could fight. And parents would break it up, teachers would break it up. Very, very rarely was law enforcement involved. But coming from someone that raised a teenage son in this time period, now a school fight, if it gets out of hand, the police are being called. So kids now are saying, if I'm going to get in trouble, then I'm going to do more than fight. I just don't understand that part. It escalates very, very quickly. And I don't think that we're teaching our kids how to de-escalate certain situations. Everything is just hyped up, fueled up, and it just goes. You step on my shoes. Instead of saying, excuse me, I'm sorry, my bad, whatever they say now, they look at you like it's your fault for having your shoe there in their pathway. No respect.
Well, it's more of a mindset that saying I'm sorry to some people shows a sign of weakness.
Yes.
And that's actually it's showing a sign of respect.
Yeah.
And it's a reflection of the individual that's willing to say, look, I apologize this. But see, it ain't always the what they call the step E. Yeah. It's the recipient, it's the one that receives it. It thinks that you ain't gonna, that's disrespectful. You gotta You gotta. If man say he's sorry, apologize, let it go.
You're right.
You don't
That
have to
it
go
does
down.
go. It does go both ways. But
Mm.
some people are not willing to accept that apology. Some people they want something for nothing. Some people feel like they're entitled. If you step on my shoe, then you have to give me money. You need to pay me for the dirt that you put on my shoe. I think I'm entitled to that. Even though I'm giving you the apology, I'm showing you the respect. I'm letting you know that it was an accident. That's not good enough because I feel like I'm entitled to more.
Well, you are. It's called prison. When I might get in trouble, but I ain't gonna get over trouble no pair of shoes.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna get in trouble with nobody bumping into me.
Right.
That is some things that you should have grown out of at this point.
Yeah.
A shoe can be replaced rather easy. Um, you can't. And when anytime you mention it, and I like to echo off it, when violence occurs, there's two lives that are destroyed: the one who's killed and the one who's going to prison. So both those lives are no longer in society. So then you just lost two people for no reason.
Exactly.
Uh, the next one thing we really want to talk about is this weather, because this weather been all over the place lately.
Yeah.
It said this is this is the Pike County. When we in Pike County, right? This happened in Pike County actually. Brantley Mobile Home, which is not too
Yeah.
far from here. Pike County woman trailer destroyed after last week's severe weather. It said a Pike County woman is seeking help after a storm caused a tree to fall and damage her home. Shirley Brooks lives in the Brantley Mobile Home Park in Troy. She moved into the trailer 14 years ago after her husband passed away. Since then, the 75-year-old has put everything she had into the home. During the storm, Brooks said she remembered hearing a big bang she thought was something falling on her roof. That something was a falling tree that cut her trailer in half. I didn't know it cut it in half. That's
It's amazing. Number one is she's alive.
that's what I was going
Yeah.
to, and I was thinking about that. I'm like, you know, and then it said it means my independence. It says during the storm, Brooks said she remembered hearing a big bang. And she said, it means my independence, that car, that was my security blanket. Brooks' car was also damaged. So she got a double. The house, the mobile home was damaged and the car. Since the incident, Brooks has been living without power. She said the power company fears the tree may have tampered with her home wiring, which could cause a fire. According to Pike County EMA Director Herbert Reeves, most homes in the county lost power during the last week's severe weather. Most of those are back up and running except for those like Brooks. She said, I had power when the tree fell. It didn't even flicker, said Brooks. Then Brooks still lives in her home even though she has been told she should not live in the condition. It is very important to me that a 75-year-old, I don't want no more change. I mean, it's my trailer. And I can understand that. You lived there 14 years, what the article said. She lost her husband, which is unfortunate. I sympathize with on that. And she likes her independence. And if you try to get her to move from the trailer and all this, she loses her independence now. The way because she won't. They trying to. From what I'm hearing, where is she gonna go?
Well, see, that's the thing. Sometimes people don't have anywhere to go. But my concern is if you cut your trailer in half, how can you be secured?
Can't.
Like, where's your doors? Are you going to be protected from the other elements if another storm was to come through? All of this rain that we're having. I didn't see any of the pictures from that, so I'm not sure exactly what the trailer looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But my main concern for her would be her security. I understand wanting to be independent, but your security, your livelihood should come first at that point. And then, efforts to try to help build or anything like that. So I don't know what kind of help she's getting, but again, my main concern would be her security.
Well, it goes on to say Brooke is in need of help removing the tree from her home and potentially someone to repair the gap left by the tree. If you would like to help, you can call Brooks at 334-413-1770. And this is one thing that our company stands for, and that falls under the attainable living
Right.
category, and the physical and mental category also.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it fits them all three. You want to know the truth
It
about it
does.
because it gives us awareness and educates us that just because this situation didn't happen to you does not mean it didn't exist. So we got her number. She said if you would like to help, you can call her at 334-413-1770. And, you know, uh, just because this situation didn't happen to you, me,
Yeah.
and the viewing audience, don't mean it couldn't happen.
Yeah.
And we, at any point, we could all be in this exact same situation she's in.
Well, that's that. You can say that about just about anything.
Mm-hmm.
We could walk out of our homes and get shot. We could get attacked. Or we could get ran over by a vehicle, and we don't have to be in the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was telling me. She said, one of the main difference between a lot of the homeless that we see every single day and us is circumstances.
That's it.
I didn't get laid off my job, but you did.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're accustomed to paying a certain amount because that's what you were making. And you've been making that for 15, 16 years. And now the only job that you can get is only paying you half of what you have been getting. You can't sustain the bills that you have. And then people say, oh, well, if you have a home, just move. It's not that simple. It's not that easy. That takes time. What if you can't move? What if your home does not sell because other people are in a financial bind? I can tell you right now that it is not a buyer's market. It's a seller's market. People
Mm-hmm.
are not buying. Right now, with rent prices being so high, everyone's looking for a home. Everyone now that I know is trying to get a mortgage because it's more stable. Because the rent prices keep going higher and higher. And if you can find something about $1,500 for a one bedroom, especially considering that I live in Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
then you're doing very well. Very well.
See, down here, it wouldn't be that high down here because it's a little bit cheaper. Apartments, they have $1,500 apartment. You have a lot of vacant apartments right now
Okay.
down in this area. But Georgia cost of living is higher,
Mm-hmm.
but the pay rate is higher also. So, but it evens itself out.
Actually, that's not necessarily true. The minimum wage in Georgia is still $7.25.
Mm.
Now you do have some people that's paying about $8 an hour, but with COVID, when it hit, a lot of people were out of jobs, and then once everything was kind of trying to get back to normal, people didn't want to work. So now they've raised the state minimum wage,
Mm.
and it's about $8.50 now, but it's still not high enough. But again, the cost of living in Georgia is more expensive,
Mm-hmm.
but not the minimum wage.
You got the opportunity to find a better paying job is up and around the Atlanta area, but the cost of living is through the roof in Atlanta too.
Yes,
So
it is.
that's the only game changer. Unless you're willing to move to New York, and then everything.
No, then
goes
everything
up.
is expensive
And
up
you
there.
don't have to worry about it then.
Yeah.
We have another one. We won't stick on the weather. This is from CNN. It says 1 killed and almost 2 dozen injured in overnight storm in Mississippi. Now this happened last night because around the Troy area, Brunswick area.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Op, I heard Luverne. That a storm came through because I was talking to my mom this morning. She told me it got rough around 5 something. I was just getting up around that time. So these storms are unpredictable. It says, and this just not in Alabama. This is this article comes from Mississippi. It said at least 1 person was killed and nearly 2 dozen injured in severe weather that swept Sunday night through Jasper County, Mississippi. Emergency management officials said as more than 50 million across the southeast on Monday faced the threat of more severe weather, possibly including tornadoes in some places. So this is not over with now.
Mm-mm.
And you know what? I don't know what's driving these storms, but this is like anything I've ever seen. One day it's sunshine, then the next day is a storm, and then it says a storm system spawned a report tornado late Sunday in Mississippi, leaving injuries and structural damage around Bay Springs and Jasper County. Primarily, reports from the National Weather Service indicate now the Mississippi EM EMA is assessing damage from the overnight storms. The agency said, noting more than 49,000 customers have no power in central part of the state. They are among nearly 500,000 from Texas and Oklahoma to Tennessee who remain in the dark amid record-breaking heat at several rounds of storms last week. And I'm thinking, this is Texas. This is a storm. We know about storms in Texas, tornadoes. Then you're looking at Mississippi, Louisiana, and then now you're looking at Alabama and Georgia. What surprised me is what I kept reading, that it says, as severe weather threats persist Monday with a level 2 or 5 slight risk of severe weather across parts of the Gulf Coast and the Southeast, including New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Louisiana, among with Jacksonville, Florida, Mobile, Alabama, and Savannah, Georgia. Florida is not somewhere where you would think tornadoes would be at. Not a hurricane I can see, but Florida is really not.
Isn't tornadoes a mixture of hot and cold?
Yeah, that's
moisture and stuff like that
out there in the Gulf. But you in
water.
Florida, Texas. See, that's where Texas be getting it from, because they right around the Gulf of Mexico. You don't really hear about a lot of tornadoes in Florida though.
Yeah.
But this weather is driving it, and I just don't know. And it goes deep. It says southern Florida, north to western North Carolina, leaving cities like Atlanta, Charlotte, North Carolina, Austin, Texas, and Tampa, Orlando, and Miami, Florida, under the threat of large hail and damaging wind gusts. That is a large area.
Yeah.
You looking from Florida to North Carolina. And it says a shelter for all those displaced for the recent destruction of tornado activity was set to open Monday morning, the Jasper County Sheriff Department said in a Facebook post. And I'm looking at some of the damage. And I don't know if you can see, you can't really see that. But it's flattening. Whatever it hits is flattening. And on this particular order, I think you can see the tornado developing.
Yep.
Because you see people pull it over. And it says, now this is Texas. This is the followed several days of severe weather across the region, including a tornado last Thursday that devastated the Texas Panhandle community of Perroton, where 3 people, including an 11-year-old boy, were killed and more than 100 others injured. On Monday, the threat of excessive rainfall moves eastward to the southeastern parts of the country, bringing the threat of thunderstorms and flooding over parts of southern mid-Atlanta and the southern Appalachian. It says the threat Monday follows more than 70 storm reports across the southeast on Sunday, according to Storm Prediction Center, including up to 8 tornadoes reported, mostly in the central Mississippi. Hail 2 inches wide or larger were also reported Sunday in Kerr County, Texas, about 65 miles northwest of San Antonio. That doesn't surprise me about Texas. Texas you got to think when Texas is out there by Tornado Alley, because that's around Oklahoma, Kansas, and all that. So northern Texas, like where Amarillo at, doesn't surprise me. It's when they start going to the southern part, like Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth. That just doesn't seem. But then it says 500,000 without power in this punishing heat.
Yes.
Then it says, meanwhile, around 35 million people are under heat alerts from a blistering heat wave that has settled across much of Texas, Louisiana, southern New Mexico, and Mississippi, according to the National Weather Service. In Oklahoma, well, let's read this here real quick. It says many are facing the heat without air conditioning, with 465,000 customers without power in the South Monday morning after severe weather in recent days, including 252,000 in Oklahoma and about 85,000 in Texas and another 83,000 in Louisiana, according to the power outages. That is a lot of people without power.
Yep.
And do me a favor. if you know an elderly person in those areas, check on them because without power, and it's easy to have a heat stroke, easy to be overheated or dehydrated. So if you know somebody that's elderly that's in those areas, would you please go and check on them and make sure they're all right? We're going to take a commercial break, but we'll be right back with the Faith and Work Hour with Anthony Knight, my special guest, Terosha Pugh. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Get your coffee, get your drinks, and we'll be right back. Hi, I'm Anthony Knight from the nonprofit group Let's Talk About It Ministry. You also might see me on the Faith and Work Hour with my co-host, Adrian McBride. We firmly believe and stand behind our community. Our organization is predicated on our 3 bricks, which is our foundation: attainable living, physical and mental health sustainability, and educational awareness. We also support good health, a good state of mind, and a decent way of living. But we need your help. You can donate to us on our Zelle account, Cash App, Let's Talk 5, and PayPal. The number for all 3 is 334-722-0813. If you can't donate, please go to our YouTube channel. It's free. It's Let's Talk About It Ministry. Hit like and subscribe. Now, we know what our mission is. Let's go to work. Welcome back to the Faith and Work Hour. You already know who we are, so we're just not going to go through those formalities right now.
My name is Terosha Pugh.
Okay.
I'm the COO of Let's Talk 3.
Okay, you done now? Okay, I got a question. 50 Cent raised this question.
Okay.
Who pays on the first date? I think, now this is my opinion, I think whoever initiates the date pays for the first date. Now, me and 50 Cent on the same court because 50 Cent agreed with that.
Well,
What?
I don't agree with that part.
Hey, man.
Because, well, I'm just saying, I don't agree with that part at all.
Why not?
Because 9 times out of 10, I know on my behalf, I'm not going to initiate the date.
Somebody else might, though.
Somebody else might. But at the same time, sometimes men need a little nudge at the same time. Like, you be skating around issues and this and that, but...
Yeah, but why should I pay if the person asks?
Did you accept?
You invited me.
So I think there needs to be a conversation. I think it could go both ways.
Okay.
But it definitely needs to be a conversation. It needs to say something like, hey, hey, would you like to go out? You say... oh, yeah, sure. Where would you like to go? This and that. Then it becomes, okay, so are we going to go Dutch? Or what are we doing? Am I picking you up? See, those need to be conversations that you're having before the date actually takes place.
Or everybody can pay their own way and you won't have to worry about it.
Then it's not a date in my book.
Well, it's a get-together of friends.
Now, that could be it. Hey, let's go hang out, which that's what most people do now anyway. Let's just hang out. So we just hanging out, then you pay for yours, I pay for mine. But if it's a date and it's an actual date, there needs to be a conversation about that.
Whoever says, do you want to go out? And you say, yes. You invited me out, so why should I pay?
So are you saying that you would miss an opportunity to go out with someone because you don't have the funding? So you're not going to ask?
I missed the opportunity if they invite me and then they don't want to pay.
I'm just saying, on the flip side, let's say you don't have the funds.
Then don't ask.
Would you skip and say, okay, you know what? I actually want to ask this person to go out on a date, but I don't have the funds. So you're just not going to ask?
Wait till you get the funds.
Okay.
That's the best way to do it.
People say you snooze, you lose.
It might be, but I won't be broke though.
Maybe not. But there's other things. Other things. There are free dates. There is a such thing as a free date.
You gonna walk?
You can walk. That's definitely a possibility.
So
shoot, you can go to the mall and fill up on samples if that's the case and make it a game.
But you still got to pay gas.
So now you just ate.
And you still got to have gas money to get to the mall.
Maybe so.
So it's not a free
unless
date,
you're walking.
Unless
you are walking.
I don't know many people live right next to the mall though.
I do.
You seen a mall in Troy yet? Yeah, I didn't see one either, so it's not going to work too well.
Well, I tell you this. Another such thing as a free date. You can make food that you have already at home. I know plenty of people who can have a free date today.
This day and age, huh?
Plenty of people, because we did this event on Saturday, and we had plenty of food out there. and the community did not show up like we was expecting for them to. So we had a lot of food left over. So I know a lot of people that got a lot of leftovers. That is a free date. This food is already paid for.
Yeah, I don't think that counts.
All thing you got to do is show up.
I don't think that counts as a date, though.
A date can be anything. A date can be anything. You don't never put a stipulation on a date.
Yeah, then if you invite a person, then you should pay. That's just how it is.
Well,
that's just like I tell one of my boys.
I'm never going to invite
if I get my nephew, I say, you want to go to McDonald's? I don't expect him to pay.
That's a child.
I can get a friend of mine. I say, Buck, man, you want to go to Hooks? Buck expected me to pay.
Oh, see, no.
I
can tell my friend right now, hey, do you want to go out? Let's go to Fridays or something like that. I can guarantee you, I can call her on the phone. She's not expecting for me to pay.
Buck asked me, Buck said, when you want to go to Hooks, he says, it's on me. When you initiate it, it's on you.
No.
Yeah, it's on you.
No.
It's got to be on you. I'm not going to say, if somebody asks me, you want to go to Red Lobster? Yeah. And then you expect me to pay.
You accept it.
You invited me.
Did you not know how expensive Red Lobster is?
Did you not know how expensive it was before you invited?
If I didn't tell you that I'm going to pay, don't expect for me to pay for you.
If you are not going to pay.
You accept it.
If you are not going to pay, do not ask to go.
You accept it.
I can't accept that. Just like accepting a check. Do I supposed to pay for the check just because I accepted it? No.
What do you mean? Do you supposed to pay for the check because
whoever
you accept it? Yes.
I'm like 50 Cent. Whoever initiates the date is the one who pays for the date.
I don't agree with that.
Well, 50 Cent and Jim Cannell agree with it, and I agree with it. They hit wine glasses when he said it. He said, you're absolutely right.
And these were what, 2 men?
Of course they 2 men. Why wouldn't there be 2 women? But
now,
anyway.
What I want to know is, you ask some women. See if you get the same answer.
You're going to get a biased opinion.
See if you get the same answer.
Of course you're not going to get the same answer.
That's all I'm saying.
Because, of course, you can ask 10 men, you ask 10 women, and you're going to get 10
That's just
opinions.
like saying, if you in a household, who pays the majority of the bills?
Whoever make the most money.
Exactly.
So if I tell you I make the most money, why would I expect you to pay it?
So if you make more money than me, but I invite you out, why would you expect for me to pay for that?
Because you invited me.
But why would you expect for me to pay for that? You just said whoever makes the most money, right? There we go.
But I didn't say they invited me.
As my Uncle Charles says, case closed.
Charles is not a good example of anything at this point. But we got another story. We got a good feel story here, and we got one that's not so. We got a Tory, what's his name, Bowie, an elite Olympic athlete died of complications from childbirth.
Yeah, that's been in the news.
She was once the fastest woman in the world. So when Tori Bowie was found dead last month, at just 32 years old, it rocked the sport of track and field. And now the tragedy of her death is fully known. Bowie was 8 months pregnant and died due to complications from childbirth. Revelation came from the Orange County Medical Examiner Office in Florida. Oh, I didn't know she was from Florida. Which just released its autopsy report of Bowie. The report concluded that Bowie was found in the bed alone in a home, had been undergoing labor. See, this is why if you know somebody who stay by themselves, somebody go by and check on them, see how they feel. Don't ever go months, weeks, months, and not go and check on these people, because anything can happen in a blink of an eye. Yeah. And it's a Bowie whose career highlights include a 100-meter world championship and 3 Olympic medals. One of them gold was found deceased on May 2nd during a welfare check. The local sheriff office has sent deputies to check on her after she wasn't seen for several days. The elite athlete died from natural causes associated with Associate Medical Examiner Chantal wrote in her autopsy report, citing evidence of Bowie undergoing labor when she died. The toxicology report came back negative, so she wasn't on anything. It was a natural, unfortunate incident.
I think it said that she had preeclampsia. Yeah,
preeclampsia is a certain spike in blood pressure, according to the National Institute of Health. Eclampsia is more severe and can include seizures or coma. The autopsy report listed the weight for Bowie, who was 5'9", at 96 pounds. It also described her body and organ as being in normal condition. So that was something that basically came out of nowhere, evidently. But I thought this is an ongoing thing. You just didn't, or is this one of these?
It's a pregnancy related
Oh,
thing. A lot of women will go into early preterm labor because they have eclampsia,
mm.
and it's very, very common. Especially, I think in African American women, it's very common.
Well, it says Black Americans face an elevated risk of preeclampsia and eclampsia. That
Yeah.
different?
Yeah, pre-eclampsia is before the baby's born,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, they could suffer, like you heard of people suffering from seizures and things like that after they give birth.
Mm. Said the material death rate among Black Americans is much higher than other racial groups. The NPR reported in March in 2021 it was basically 70% per 100,000, which is 2.6 times higher than the rate for any other race. We have to make sure we take care, keep this, just keep a check on people when you know they stay by themselves. When you know they might not always tell you what they're going through, and a lot of times they might not even know themselves.
Right.
So it's just a good thing to go. I call my mama every single day. Now I might not talk about anything. Just say how she doing. If I call her cell phone, she don't answer. That is nothing unusual because she very seldom has it on. But I call that house phone and she don't answer now. If I call 2 days and she ain't answer, somebody out there gonna answer something. Well, I'm getting in my car and going out there. But I got nieces and nephews out there. I got my cousins stay out there, so I'm always gonna be able to get in contact with somebody out there. But just don't leave your parents, your kids, your friends, your whoever. Do not leave them. If you don't hear from them 1 or 2 days, go and check on them. My thing is, people that I deal with, I call them every day. At least I might not talk to them that long, but I'm gonna check on them at least once a day. That way it lets me know. And since we drive, I lose contact with a lot of people a lot of times. So just send a text message if that's your thing. I just like to call because I like to hear person's voice. With a text message, people don't tell you how they feel in a text message, but your voice can tell me everything. See, you can send me a text message, I'm good. You might not be good though. See, I can't read a text message. Now, some of them will text you, I'm all right. Well, that text message, I know something wrong with that one. But just let's just keep on and check on
I'm
people.
bad at doing that. I'm bad at calling back. I'm bad at calling people to check on them. I'll send a text message
Mm-hmm.
for people that like my dad or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. But even with him, I'm doing better at it. But one of the things about our group, as far as the physical and mental health sustainability,
Mm-hmm.
I went through some depression stuff back when my son was probably 2-3 years old, and it was all financially relevant. It was because of my finances, and I got into a habit where family would call and check on me, and I would send it to voicemail, or they would ask me to go places, and because I knew I didn't have the money and I didn't want them feeling sorry for me, I would say, oh no, I got something else to do, or I just sit at the house. When they would come by, when I wouldn't answer the phone, I would pretend I wasn't at home. But it was all based on, that depression that I was in because I did not have the finances. And you do that for so long, now I've kind of gotten into a habit, even though I'm not in that state of mind anymore. You get into a habit of just not calling. But I am doing better, and I know that I got a whole bunch of cousins and other families, brothers, sisters that will attest to that. And I'm letting y'all know now I am doing a lot better.
You know what? I thought years and years that depression was something that people made up. I found out that it's a anxiety and depression is a real thing.
It is very real.
Well, we got a good field story called CNN Heroes. The title is Turning Pain into Power, How a Grieving Mother Transformed a Neglected Block Near Detroit into a Village of Beauty and Opportunity. It says, this is in Highland Park, Michigan. Every parent's worst nightmare is losing their child. Shamarin Harris, that's her name?
I think they call her Mama Shoe or something like that. Yeah.
Has lived through that nightmare twice.
Yeah.
I can't imagine living through it once. My brother passed away. I knew how it hit me. I didn't realize that it hit my mama a little bit different than it would hit me.
Yeah.
But it does. And this lady has been through it twice. Yeah. On September 23rd, 2007, her two-year-old son, Jacob Rob, was struck and killed in a hit and run in Highland Park, in a suburb of Detroit. Mm-hmm. That's bad enough.
Yeah.
And then it said in 2021, she experienced that heart-wrenching loss again when a 23-year-old son was shot and killed while doing a neighbor's watch in the community.
Right.
I cannot imagine.
Right. You're trying to protect people and you end up losing your life trying to protect your community.
And that's rough. Right, that's really rough. It's like I say, I can't imagine losing one sibling, or in her case, one of her kids, and she lose two of them. Yep. Most people would fold under those circumstances. Mm-hmm. But she didn't fold, and it says as she faced her profound grief, she also discovered her strongest determination to channel it into something good. For the last 15 years, her trauma has fueled her mission to transform her struggling, neglected community into a vibrant village. Mm-hmm. She said, I needed to change grief into glory. You know, I like that. Change grief into glory. I like it. Yep. Pain into power.
Yeah.
Said Harris, who is known as Mama Shoe. I just tried to transform it into something bearable and something beautiful. In the early 1900s, Highland Park, Michigan became famous as the home of the first Ford Motor Company factory producing millions of Model T cars. But as the automotive industry left the area, the city suffered. Residents moved away, crime accelerated, schools shut down, storefronts were vacated. So now look at it. This grieving mother who lost two kids to unfortunate incidents, mm-hmm. still found the strength where she says change grief into glory and change power, pain into power. And she said, I was devastated about what I would see walking around Highland Park, said Mama Shoe, a longtime resident. I wanted to live in a beautiful city. I wanted flowers. I wanted thriving businesses. I felt that it is what we deserve. Mm-hmm. And this one woman turned her whole community around. And it says, Mama Shoe had dreams for what her city could become. She would often drive past one street in particular, Avalon Street, and envision it. I would look at the block like, wow, man, if we just clean up this block and do this and do that, she said, I saw crystal clear what it could look like. Mm-hmm. 6 months after the death of Jacoby Ray, a house on the corner of Avalon Street went up for sale for $5,000.
Yeah, $5,000.
$5,000. That's pretty cheap.
But it was run down. I saw the pictures. I know that they don't show it there, mm-hmm. but the home was run down. It was a tiny home, but she saw possibility with it.
It says that Mama Shoe didn't have the money for it, but she knew she had to have that house. The house. Mm-hmm. She called the realtors right away. Mm-hmm. I said, I'll give y'all $3,000, and I didn't have the $3,000 either.
And she did not.
She said, I just have to make sure I got it. With her saving and borrowed money, Mama Shoe bought the house, and then slowly she began purchasing other lots on Avalon Street. Mm-hmm. You
Perfect example of faith and work.
Faith and work.
She had faith. She contacted the realtors and did not have $3,000. She had faith that they would accept the $3,000 when they were asking $5,000. And then she did what she had to do. She put in the work mm-hmm. to make it happen. And she got it.
And it shows how she did it.
Yeah.
She said, I initially started building the village with just any money that I could get. Mm-hmm. She said, income tax refund checks, my work check. Mm-hmm. See, I like what she did. She didn't use her money for herself. Mm-mm. She used it for the community. And mm-hmm. And then we got to do more than that. It says selling fish sandwiches for $5, getting donation. She drew up plans for what she envisioned, and for 8 years, she and volunteers worked to clean up the block. Some houses were torn down, others refurbished.
Keyword though, she
She
and
and
other
it takes more than one. You're never going to be able to do anything by yourself. It's always going to have to be people that's going to have to surround you. I say this all the time. In order to succeed, you have to have a great support system around you. If you don't have a support system, you're not going to succeed too often. There are exceptions to the rules.
Yeah.
But more or less, the people that backs you, the people that helps you, are the people that's where you elevate from. Said in 2016, Mama Shu created the Avalon Village, a nonprofit with the mission of revitalizing the street and creating a safe and nurturing space for the entire community. Today, she and her organization own 45 lots of land across 3 blocks. Now, you see what hard work does. Now, this was in an 8-year period. It took them 8 years to do. So what it is, and nothing comes overnight, and nothing is easy worth having. But this woman, I don't even have to read no more of this. She done gave me everything I needed. Mama Shu took tragedy and turned it into triumph.
Yep.
She took pain, turned it into power. And she took grief and turned it into glory. This is the will of what people can accomplish when they have a belief and you follow it. And I can guarantee you that was times in those 8 years she wanted to quit.
Of course.
I can guarantee you, no doubt in my mind, at some point she wanted to say, you know what, it's not worth it.
Of course.
But it's the will. Now this is also coming on the backbone of she lost 2 sons, and they 2 young sons, one 2 years old and one 23-year-old. One of them hit with a hit and run, the other one was shot during community watch. To still have the mindset to go out and this is what the article I read an article I have to sometimes use my imagination. She doing this to the same community that took her sons from her.
Right.
That is the most. Some people turn their back on her and say, "I'm not having no good fortune. Everything of his is not good, so I'm just gonna leave." But she did not turn away from the community. She empowered it and helped it.
Well,
and
sometimes when you have to realize too, the community is not the buildings, it's not the streets, it's the people. So you may have 1 or 2 bad people in that community, but that doesn't mean the whole community is bad.
That's right.
I tell people this all the time. When you look at certain neighborhoods, especially in Georgia, you go to certain neighborhoods, everything is nice and clean and protected, and you're just like, wow. Then you go to the other neighborhood and you got chicken bones everywhere. You got Popeyes. You got, just people throwing stuff out their cars. So it's not the neighborhood itself. It's the people that are in that neighborhood. They're the ones that's doing that. So if you got one positive person and they start to see the positivity, it's contagious. She got volunteers from her own community to help her.
The thing about that is you have to give them the vision you got, and they have to believe in your vision. If I don't believe in what you're doing, I'm not going to help you.
Yeah. Well, she led by example.
Well, that's the best way to lead, is lead by example. And not only did she lead by example, she started her own nonprofit organization to help to do the things she was doing. And started out with one house. And now they own 45 lots.
Not houses, lots. Yes.
And that lets you know that her mind is in the right place. Her heart was definitely in the right place. And that she was led to do that, because when you have a tragedy of that nature, and like I said, you lose 2 kids in that environment, but you're willing to still help that community when the community should be trying to help you heal. And I'm sure they did. Sure there's some people that did it.
I'm pretty sure they did.
But to lose under those circumstances and to still have the will to fight. Because some people, it tells a lot about her.
Yeah.
Because some people have lost less and lost the will to fight. I've been knocked down so many times, I just don't have enough sense to stay down. I just keep getting back up again.
Well, me too. But I think that's how we have to do it. It's circumstances. You can stay down if you choose to, but if you stay down, you're never going to get back up because no one's coming to help you.
No. Well, you have to help yourself at
You
some
have to
point.
help yourself.
But once you get up, um, sometimes in some cases you got people around you that helping you up,
Yeah.
giving you a hand. Hey, you can keep going. Let's go. Um, and one of the quotes I love Mike Tyson, the new Mike Tyson.
The new Mike
I love
Tyson.
the new Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
He said the only way you can lose is if you don't get up.
Yeah.
He said even the greatest boxers have been knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is they didn't stay down; they got back up.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we have to understand about what we do is, in the journey you on, you're gonna get knocked down.
Yeah.
It's the point: are you going to stay down? And I like to use a quote that I remember off the top of my head, and it's a Bible quote, but it fits so good. It says, "The race is not given to the swift nor to the strong, but the ones that can endure to the end."
Mm-hmm.
So if you can fight to the end, there's no way to lose. It's when you give up before you get to that point. That's when you start losing. I'm gonna read one last quote, and I like this one here. Is well, I was gonna read that one on. I'm gonna change that. Okay. It's often the small steps, not the giant leaps, that bring about the most lasting changes.
Yep.
See, a lot of things we think that it's the big things that makes the difference. Sometimes, what a friend of mine saying, paper cuts hurt,
Yeah, they do.
and they hurt sometimes worse than the big cuts.
That's right.
But that's what we have to do. Well, you know what? We had a great time. Always, we enjoy ourselves. We want to thank my special guest here, taking a few minutes out of the day to come spend an hour with us. What can I say? The weather is weather. We gonna be here.
Yeah.
We ain't going nowhere.
And please be careful out there today. If you're riding, please be careful.
Because it's gonna change again at 1 o'clock, from my understanding. So y'all take care. For my viewing audience, hey, keep doing what you're doing. Have a safe day. For my truck driver friends, be careful out there on that road. Keep on rolling. We'll be back here next week, same time, same place, different faces.
Different faces.
But we still be here. So tune in next Wednesday. We ain't going nowhere. Y'all have a good day.